You dumb, beautiful fucker.
Who wants to be in America's slash fic with Abraham Lincoln?
Louisiana Purchase, that's a name.
You need to really get off my balls, okay? I'm gonna kick your ass.
Also, why was Michelangelo so stinky? Ew.
Hello everyone and welcome to Fast Files number 5. Thank you for joining us, and joining me as always is my partner riding shotgun.
Is Jonathan.
And today in this installment, like we said earlier, we'll be getting a slightly different schedule just because of the way things worked out. But today we'll be discussing the 6th and 7th installments in the Fast and Furious franchise.
We got a double feature.
That's right. And starting off, we hit into the 6th movie, this Fast and Furious 6, which was released on May 24th, 2013. This really kicks into like another stratosphere for the series, because we're just getting right into it, because it's just... From here on out, if you thought there's any sort of semblance of reality left in this series, it goes bye-bye with this one.
Oh, no, it's gone. This is full anime bullshit. Granted, you could say the shit with Fast 5 really starting this, but they just don't give no fucks. The stakes are raised to a point where people are fucking superhuman.
Yeah, like the mask is off. The reality is gone out the window. We left it in the dust.
And I thank this series so much for it, because holy fuck.
But just a little bit of information before we get into the meat and potatoes of it. I thought it was interesting that this movie, it set a new opening weekend benchmark for the series. It scored $96 million its opening weekend. And over the course of 4 days, it earned $117 million, making it one of the biggest Memorial Day weekend openings ever.
Jesus Christ. What was the budget for the movie? Like, what's the, profit from that?
The budget of the movie was $160 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, it earned $117 million within its first opening weekend. And gross total, it made $788.7 million.
Fucking shit.
And also, we will say this is the last movie that Justin Lin directed, because he'll be absent for the next couple of films, but he will return with Fast 9. So this makes his last directorial effort in the series for the moment.
Alrighty.
It opens up seemingly immediately after 5. You see Dom and Brian zipping around on the fucking breakneck corners of Spain somewhere. I legit got vertigo in some of those shots.
For real.
Because, granted, we were also watching these movies on our big, swanky 65-inch high-def TV, so a lot of these next two movies really popped on our new setup.
Yeah, because we just recently got a new home theater setup, and holy fuck. Just imagine watching Fast 5, seeing, the fucking safe bullshit.
Yeah, start it over.
Let's go!
We rewatch all the movies with our big-ass new TV.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
But I think it's just sort of a visual continuity for the film. Ended off with a race. We start off with a new one. But basically, it's Dom and Brian racing to the Spanish monastery where Mia is giving birth to Brian's child.
Yeah. I'm not going to be there for the birth of my kid. I'm going to be racing. I got to go fast. I can't process my feelings unless I'm going fast.
And one thing I just thought was funny is that I guess Vin Diesel will just make my boys' baby blues look good in this film, because Paul Walker was just popping in this movie.
For real, yeah.
Although I do wonder if it's like a Elijah Wood scenario, they digitally enhanced his eyes, because no human being's eyes are that blue. And it's guess what, bitch? They're real.
They're real.
So they get to the monastery just in time for me to have her baby, and they have a bouncy new baby boy named Jack. Dad to the family.
The family. And the previous episode, we were talking, they were just teasing the tip. They did not really go in with the family meme. oh boy, do these next two movies alone make up for the lack of family.
Yeah, I'm grateful we didn't do the family drinking game in these two, because we would have been like on the floor, and that's not including any sort of extra for the hell of it shots we would have taken.
No, because you wrote down how many there were, right?
Yeah, I wrote down there are a total of 11 families set in Fast 6.
Oh my god.
And we get our first family mention 15 minutes into the film. Respectable length.
All right, have a little foreplay first before we get into
Because it took like, what, over an hour before we got the first family in 5?
Yeah, it was, or it was like an hour, 30 minutes. It was something like ridiculously long. I was like, come on now. You want to say it, goddammit.
And then the new baby, and then there's like a swanky like anime opening for the movie,
Yeah.
where it's basically just recapping everything that's happened up to this point.
In case you missed it.
Which
Which I don't know why you would jump on this like movie in the 6th movie in the franchise.
I mean, literally every movie is somebody's starting point. I mean, hell, like I'm just imagining like people whose first movie was like Infinity War. Or, yeah, like no, my mom's first Marvel movie she ever watched was Infinity War.
But your mom has like a weird fucking relationships with like watching sequels before the first movie.
Yeah, she's like, I watched the sequel first, and if it's good enough, I go back to watch the first one. That's how she's been for the last several years.
If that works for her, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of cases, sometimes the sequel is a little so-so, and when she goes back to watch the previous one, it's better experience.
Oh yeah.
But then, like for someone her age, she asks a remarkably few amount of questions. She's just there for it.
She just takes it in and just, here we go. I'm here for the ride.
And speaking of ride, we have some new folks along for the ride. We have The Rock doing his thing, but we have a new lady cock friend, and that's the very recently canceled Gina Carano.
Oh, woohoo! Oh yeah. Transphobia kills, kids. That's the message of this movie, so don't be a fucking twat.
Yeah, transphobia, not even once.
Fast 6 says trans rights.
Essentially.
Because we will get to how this bitch dies in this movie, and holy shit does she get got.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I guess. So yeah, there's some weird bad hanky-panky going on. And they think, like, oh, we got the Toretto gang in our sights. But actually, it's just fake Dom that The Rock goes into the interrogation room with. And then he just straight up Superman just bashed it around, just slapping him around the fucking interrogation room, knocking holes in the walls and ceiling.
It's just like, fuck his Miranda rights. Fuck his any sort of, like, it was kind of troubling. I was like, damn, The Rock doesn't give a fuck. Like, I think even, like, Vic Mackey would be like, damn, bro, you need to calm the fuck down. Because he straight up, like, pulls, like, Incredible Hulk shit.
Yeah, because, like, he just literally just picks the dude up by the scruff of his neck and just, like Hulk and like Avenger just slapping that dude on the ground back and forth.
And I mean, and like we said earlier, this is when he gets into bullshit anime territory. But this isn't the point where the characters have superpowers just yet.
But like we're getting like the first tease. At least they're setting the stage a little bit.
Yeah.
So like there's a new baddie in town, and they're trying to get all their stuff together because the bad guy that's running roughshod across the town with their new like high stakes like vehicular theft. The old face Letty is a part of it because if we saw at the end of the last one, Letty wasn't dead after all. She just turned up in a weird like theft gang. It's like we ripped off a train of trucks, and now she's up to no good. But where is she? How do she survive?
They go into it.
They get on the investigation train. Also, I just love how like the first clue that something's up is like, oh, they like The Rock and bitch. They go to the scene of the crime, and you just see like a fucking car sticking out of the side of a building.
Yeah, and it's just. I think Ludacris at one point calls it vehicular warfare, which I remember the trailers for when this movie came out, and that line was in the trailer, and I was like, oh man, this is fucking stupid. I'm never going to watch this bullshit. Here we are in 2021.
Life comes at you fast.
Fast, and maybe we could also say furiously.
Maybe so. The Rock somehow instant Goku transmissions to Dom's loft in Spain, where he's in bed with the cop girl from 5. They're still together, Elena. And then The Rock's out there is like, hey Dom, shit's going down. It's like, okay man, let me finish building this engine on my like swanky balcony and let me look at your police file.
Yeah, while Brazilian chick is just very conspicuously covered, but enough to show that fucking ass. And side boob.
The first ass of the movie, with of course it being fast, there's lots of ass.
Oh yeah.
So The Rock lets them all know that, hey, lady's alive, and she's doing all this wiggity woo bullshit. And then the Dom's like, all right, we got to get the family together to save the family. So he puts out the call.
And then it's sort of like smash cut to show where like all the characters are at this time. And one of the funniest ones is Roman, Tyrese's character, where he's just in this fucking airplane with a bunch of bitches, and he's just... he's just trying to show off his money and do, being a poor job at being a ladies' man.
So, like, he has all these ladies in there, and he's like, okay, gals, we're about to have a good time in Las Vegas. And he gets bring, bring. And it's like, what? Shit's going down with the family. I'm on my way.
Turn this plane around.
And he's like, he gives all those girls, like, a voucher to the casino. He, like, throws their asses out the plane.
Yeah, and what does it... And then it shows, like, the side of the plane, and it says something, like it's Roman bitches.
It says it's Roman bitches on the side of this private jet.
If I had a private jet, I would put some dumb shit on it, too, so.
So that's Roman. Then we cut to Ludacris, who's, like, ripped to shit in this movie now.
Yeah, that and Too Fast, he was ludicrous as we knew him in the mid 2000s.
He's like a reasonably fit, big Afro guy, and now he's like this clean cut, like just cut rip,
just fucking shredded. It's the next movie where he does the kung fu shit, right?
Yeah, because Ludacris, I think if anybody in the series, Ludacris has had the biggest upgrade in terms of his position in the plot and his overall powers.
For real, because Brian, he's had his character arc already, and up until he is no longer in the series. I mean, he's kind of just there. Dom really doesn't change much, and neither do a lot of the other characters. But fucking Ludacris was just like, I'm doing fucking just illegal street races, and then by 5, I'm just like this world-class hacker.
World-class hacker with world-class abs.
Mm-hmm. And then we find out he has fucking kung fu martial arts skills. All right, cool.
Yeah, we get a little taste of that in 7, but we'll get to that in a sec. But if there's a little ticker chart of the little of the line bars going up. Everybody has a pretty steady trajectory up as they get wilder into fantasy. But you just see Ludacris is little down low, then shoot straight up.
He just goes straight to anime protagonist. But yeah, he's in I forget where. It's been a while since we've watched these, but he's in some country. Smack talking with these guys. He ends up hacking an ATM and
with his phone or some shit.
Yeah, with his phone, and he's basically the Robin Hood of this area.
Yeah, our rip car riding Robin Hood. So he gets the call, he heads out. Then we cut to China or Korea?
Yes. I don't remember, but it's Giselle and Han. This out of all of them was probably the coolest introduction. Because,
they're just having tea in this open air alley with for folks around, and the fucking 5-0 show up. It's gun pointed, and then just they snap to battle mode, couple mode.
Yeah,
it's going back to back, guns pointed, just
it was imagine Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets the Matrix.
Then they hand the piece of paper. We have word out for you that you may want to find out about. It's we coming.
Dom gets the gang back together. The Rock fills them in on the people that are coming after him, and it's Deckard Shaw. Which Shaw is it?
No, Deckard is the.
Is that Jason Statham?
Jason Statham kid.
Okay, then Luke Evanson's Shaw. And basically the anti-gang where everyone is a
Owen Shaw is Luke Evans.
Owen Shaw. Okay, I don't know. Anywho,
I mean technically he is the most compelling, or at the very least threatening villain they've had this entire series.
Yeah,
because all the rest of them come in just they're just a stuffy dude in the suit who has like a drug ring and they fuck shit up, and they have like other bad folks that do shit for him. Owen Shaw has like, he himself is like, I'm a capable badass on my own. I also have my whole badass crew who's equally badass and parallelly badass to all the people on the Fast team.
Yeah, because they got a big guy. They got these vague defining traits of these characters.
And I love how like Tyrese, after he has like his hungry moment,
because of course,
and he literally breaks it down for you how each member of the bad guy team lines up with each member of the Fast team.
In case you didn't get it, which I will say, like, probably one of my biggest criticisms of this movie is that is such a cool concept, and they don't really execute it really well. It's sort of an idea they introduce that they don't really develop on. Because, like, I could see, like, these guys being the sort of the villains for, like, like a 2 or 3 movie arc.
Yeah, because I feel like I love the idea of them having their evil duplicates. I think this is technically the longest one up to this point, so we didn't really get much time to see their individual abilities or like individual like traits until like really towards like the very end, and then sort of like or outside of a few members. They're kind of just like, oh, here's a faceless bad guy that's like my evil opposite.
Yeah, like they don't really, and I keep saying every episode, this is Fast and Furious. I'm not expecting fucking the pinnacle of character development, but it's like getting a little bit of those characters would have been nice, and even like not every character meets their duplicate either. Like I think like Giselle kills the Tyrese surrogate fairly early in the movie.
Yeah.
And, Tyrese doesn't get a chance to interact with that person. And by the end, the major people do. But, I don't know, I thought it would be cool to just at least have, like, some sort of confrontation with, like, their quote, shadow self, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah, because, like, that's one of my favorite things about, like, a big shonen series. When you introduce the bad guys at the beginning and they whoop everybody's tail. And they're all very, like, singular and stand out. And then, like everybody gets their one-on-one fight, more or less, with their, counterpart. Which, like I said, did we get a little bit of, but, unfortunately, that just wasn't... That was a great idea that just wasn't well put together. But we do get a sense of how badass these people are, because, like, we find out that they're about to knock over something in England. So that's where a majority of the film takes place, or a lot of the film takes place in London. And so they go to like this big like secret place. They have fake Dom go in there to like meet up with Shaw, and he's like blah blah blah, and Shaw gets into this like fucking Dark Knight dune buggy,
which like all right, that was fucking rad.
And then like he sets off like all these massive explosions that domino this parking structure that literally, I guess every cop and SWAT person in England was on, because they all get blown the fuck up.
It's just like, bye.
So the only people left to stop them are, of course, the Fast crew.
Yeah, and they get their ass handed to them, which I will say, I was, earlier criticizing, how there were some missed opportunities with Gang, but I do like how this really establishes the stakes of everything, because up until this point, at least for the past few movies, the gang have sort of been on top of everything. They've had obstacles and stuff like that, but like, in Fast 5, they were able to handle everything for the most part. This is the first time they've just got fucking their ass handed to them.
It's like, you really see the stakes and really say, oh, these guys are capable. Because like when you see they're chasing out through the streets of London, they have all these wackety gadgets, like they shoot like this little controller bebop on their cars that they can control remotely, and it's like a little like mini EMP dart thing. Which
I
was kind of hoping they would bring back the EMP like claw thing from Fast 2.
God, that thing was that was like so extra, and I love it.
It was so weirdly out of place, and I was like, and considering like how many sort of callbacks there are in 6 and 7. I figured they may try to pull that one back, but I guess they didn't think about the robot claw. But anyhow, they can turn on and off the car, so they make Roman and Ludacris just crash spectacularly.
Oh man, and it's like they eat shit,
and it's like, oh, any normal person would be dead, but thanks to like the fast plot armor, not even their clothes are wrinkled.
We'll get into plot armor when we get to 7, but this movie, like, it's because they have the fucking Dark Knight go-kart thing, and then of course it's just like the way it's made, it gets like up under the cars and flips them and shit.
Because it has like a very sharp like front end that allows it to slip underneath cars and like throw them off. And like we're given, like, I guess Brian's counterpart, it's just like cold hard lady, and because apparently there's 2 go-karts, and they think they're chasing Shaw, but actually there's a switcheroo at some point. She comes in with the second dune buggy and tricks him around, because at the end the only people left driving are Dom and Brian, of course. And so Brian gets right up on with the guys he's tailing, and then they pull some really cool shit where the bad guys move their SUV out of the way, and here comes old bitch with like her car driving toward them, slips underneath Brian, flips his car 20 feet in the air. I was like, oh, that was slick.
Yeah. And then they get the fuck away, of course. And Ludacris has his moment, because there was that one plot element in 2 where, he's like hit a wall going fuckload an hour or whatever, and now I can't drive. And now that like triggered his PTSD or some shit.
Yeah, because I remember didn't he have like a traumatizing moment? It's like, I got out of the racing game because I had a bad accent, but then like I feel capable of driving again, crash again.
Yeah, and then they it's like one like passing comment, never brought up again. But and then after this point, this is where the movie gets really hazy for me.
Yeah, I will say that. I mean, I'm grateful that I kind of wrote my play-by-play notes, but trying to think to myself what it was, I've had a hard time recalling it, because like we like overall we enjoyed 6, but like outside of the big set pieces, the plottity plots kind of just like air. Yeah,
because it's, and granted, like all the Fast movies kind of have this problem to an extent, but like comparing it to 5, the slower parts were interesting, and it's also a heist movie, so they're laying out how they're going to break into this bank to steal this guy's money, blah blah blah, and there's something a little more engaging to it. But this is just like a series of them like tracking certain people down to find someone who knows someone who knows someone who knows someone about Owen Shaw.
Yeah,
so it's sort of a series of events that take place that ultimately lead to the 2 big set pieces at the end.
Yeah, and because there's a whole bit like the girls on the team, Giselle and bitch Gina Carino, they try to like, oh, we know someone that gets parts for shops, we're gonna go talk to him, which leads to Owen's team finding out about them and sort of like roughing them up, which leads to one of Owen's team members, I guess the Tyrese analog, he being killed by Giselle, which sort of like starts to break up the bond, or not bond, but like starts to break up the feelings Letty has about the whole situation. Just like, obviously she's, she remembers all her fighting and driving skill, but like she has like this weird like feeling like, why do I know you, Dom? But then like when Shaw's team member gets killed and he's just sort of like, yeah, whatever, he's dead, just like, that ain't right, man, you ain't a family,
this isn't a family. But then Shaw goes into his whole motivation, which was he's like, I want efficiency, and if someone's not pulling their weight, then they get capped, basically. Also at this time, because at the end of the big that first big action set piece where the gang gets their ass kicked, Dom and Letty have an interaction and she shoots him. And of course, Vin Diesel, unfazed. The next scene, he's just pulling a bullet out.
I mean, it's like what happened in 4. He tanked a bullet shot to his shoulder. He just kept walking.
Just didn't give a fuck. So, he pulls the bullet out, and, of course, it's this one particular bullet that only goes to one particular gun. So they have to go to this, like, dumpy-ass pawn shop where they beat up on some old dudes in a pawn shop who are illegally selling guns, because guns are illegal in the UK, and yeah.
As in, like we said, there's a lot of like just like circuitous breadcrumb trail to get to find the next little clue to get to where Shaw is. To like them, okay, we got all our cars trashed, we got to get new cars. So Tej and The Rock go buy new cars from this stuffy British dude, and there's this really long protracted bit of them embarrassing him after he was snooty to them earlier.
Well, not only was he being snooty, he was being low-key racist too. So, you know, like the Rock and Ludacris like basically embarrass this guy and make him strip because he was being a fucking rich racist asshole. You people of your kind cannot buy cars here.
And then it's like, bitch, I buy all the cars.
I buy all the cars. Watch me, bitch. And then, of course, you know, they're doing this so they can build, like, a supercar.
Yeah, because, like, they'll buy all these, like, very specific richy cars to, like, trick them out in just the right way so each person can get their own kind of car and drive it their own kind of way and take lead back from the baddies, which leads to another bit. I forget exactly how we get here, but, you know, we're here anyway.
Yeah.
Where the gang that was spying on the car parts guy, Gina Carano, Giselle, Han, and Tyrese. I love how we can't keep straight who we call by their character names and who we call by their real name. Anyhow, they run into a gaggle of the baddies, and this leads to like some smaller but still really tight action scenes. You have Gina Carano versus Letty,
which is, as far as like one-on-one fights goes, probably the best in the series.
It's like, I love Michelle Rodriguez. She's a great action hero. Like, one of the few, like, straight action stars for women. And, you know, Gina Carano is a piece of shit, but they have a really cool fight.
Yeah, I mean, she was originally a UFC star, so, you know, she knows how to make this shit look cool.
And then the second fight is Joe Taslim from The Raid and soon to be the new Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat reboot. His, quote, fight is just him beating the shit out of Han and Tyrese.
Which I think I read or saw somewhere where Justin Lin, you know, wanted to make a point of showing, you know, Han didn't automatically know Kung Fu, you know, sort of break the stereotype that, you know, all Asians know some form of martial arts.
To their credit, like, neither of them are like martial artists, but they're like capable fighters in their own way. But
Yeah.
of course, you have Joe Taslim, who's literally one of the best movie martial artists around. He just slaps the fuck out of him.
Yeah, like, I mean, like you said, he was in The Raid, which is, like, people say are some of the best action movies in the past, like, 20 years.
He was in They Come For Us at Night, which is a fucking brutal-ass, but great action movie. Mm-hmm. But holy shit, he's good in that, too.
Isn't he in one of the John Wick movies, too?
I don't know off the top of my head. I wouldn't put it past him.
I know some of the Raid guys are in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was him particularly.
So he pulls out all these crazy moves. I love how at the end of the fight, he just sort of does this combo move and knocks them both out, because he does this like drop kick on Roman, kicks him through a plain glass, and then as he's falling, he elbow drops on top of Han and kicks his ass. Then he just scampers off, and then they're both like, yeah, let's not tell Dom about this.
It's like, yeah, no one needs to know about this. It's like, because they got fucking clowned on.
In front of God and everybody. And then, because eventually Letty gets away from Gina Carano, so they have just another, like, substantial loss. So, like, you really can see, like, how dangerous they are. But we will say Owen Shaw realizes how dangerous they are, too. So, like, there's this, like, rising sort of, like, not respect, but, like, just like awareness of like, okay, we can't fuck around with these people.
Yeah, it's like, because each encounter they incrementally get is more successful than the last, even if by the end it becomes like a Pyrrhic victory. But
then we need some more info. So The Rock and Gina Carano, they go to like CCTV warehouse where The Rock handshakes a man into submission. They hand over evidence of all of Shaw's crime. He's literally just grabs his hand and fucking breaks it, essentially.
Because The Rock, what sort of rights do you have as an individual? Because fuck you.
And there's also this side beat where Brian, as a way to like find out what happened to Letty, but also sort of overcome his own guilt for setting up the plot that would get Letty like damaged or killed, he sneaks into jail with the shithead FBI agent from 4.
Yeah, because they're like, yeah, because how is he doing this? Oh, he's in bed with Braga. And me and Pat were like, who? Oh, the villain from 4. That one guy that no one fucking remembers. But
yeah, because of course, because it's about Letty, and Letty was sort of the plot coupon for 4. There's callbacks to 4. But then I remember, like, why did they have to go to jail? Reasons.
that are not logical, because fuck logic when you've got cars.
Yeah, because like Brian's in jail for all of 10 minutes, and Braga comes in like literally 5 seconds after they close the door, and he gives this whole spiel like how Owen propped him up to be like this, gave him the money and the resources to help sort of like get his sort of empire started in Mexico or wherever they were. And then sort of like they're working together, and even though he's in jail, like he's still got some strings, or like because he's gone, Owen has to work harder and make him more dangerous. And then Brian is just like tearfully like, no, fuck you, man, you fucked up Letty. And so Braga and his goons, they break in the door, and apparently we learned that Brian's signature move is just to fucking headbutt people.
Because him and Dom both in these next two movies just like headbutt the fuck out of people.
And then just like bashing folks in their heads with their own head.
Yeah, and you know, they try to fight Brian. Brian just brutalizes them.
And then he gets some more info out of Braga, but I don't remember what it was.
It's not important. We got to get to the tank.
We got, because like, but then we cut back to the gang doing shit. Tez invents a NOS-powered grappling gun.
Because, you know, it's been a while since we've seen the NOS.
This is how they bring it back with this NOS-powered gun. I'm like, yes, I do appreciate them making like nods to the older, more sane parts of their franchise.
But it just adds to the insanity, and which I love.
Dom is like, I know Letty, she can't keep her racing deans down. So he just wanders out in the street, happens to find a street race where Letty also is like, I got to race to my feelings away because I don't think I feel comfortable with these baddies, and he's there too. So they have a race in the streets.
I can't deal with my feelings like an adult. I got to race them away.
So the Dom's like, I'm going to challenge Letty to race because this will jog her memories. And so they race around. They both hit the NOS. And I love how they did this shit where like it wasn't the CG like light speed, but they did have a little bit of nod, which is like Letty gets thrown back in her seat when she hits the nod. But she hits it too early, so she loses. So they have like this sort of emotionally complicated talk, essentially.
It's like, who are you?
It's just the who are you? Who. And Dom takes off his sunglasses.
Yeah, and then just doesn't he give her the necklace or something?
Yeah, he gives her the necklace back.
Yeah,
the cross. And so she's just like, okay, there's something going on with you. There's something going on with him. I got to figure this out. So she drives away, and the second she drives away, old Shaw, he drives up. It's like, hey man, I know that was your side chick, or that was your chick back in the day, but she works for me now, and she's a badass bitch, and she don't need no man except for me.
And then Dom has a fucking green dot pop up on him because he has a sniper. But then Owen gets a green dot put on him because The Rock is in the corner just like, do it, bitch.
I did think it was funny that apparently the sniper guy was Han's analog in the movie. Was that what the setup there?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to like, because I remember he has a fight with him at the very end. But anyhow, they're like, okay, we got guns at each other's backs, but we're gonna back away and reconvene for some bullshit. So at this point, I realized that Owen's after this like super duper like special military ship that does something important. So The Rock hightails it to like whatever fortress that they're being held at. He makes a Walls of Jericho reference.
Yeah.
Good bit because wrestling. And then the bad guys, They do some boogity boo. They steal some shit. So they steal a big truck. But inside the truck is a tank. And they just sort of drive this tank out of the fucking like truck and start just mashing shit up, like on the sidewalk. Like
people die.
Like people are straight up turning to hamburger because they're just driving this tank 100 miles per hour, just like barreling on top of people in their car, just like killing the fuck out of some people.
Yeah, it's fucking intense, and it's just, and honestly, it felt like the climax of the movie. And I remember when this checking the runtime when this scene was over, and we still had 30 minutes left. I'm like, oh my god, what? Because
like this felt like the big climactic scene. You see all the gang, they're in their car, their new super special individual cars, and they're zip zopping around chasing after the tanks. And like trying tricks, but all the tricks fail. It was leading to a great bit from Ludacris is like, plan A, plan B didn't work. We're going to need more alphabets. Because he's not driving in this one. He's just shot calling and I'm like maneuvering people around. So they're like driving around. Roman gets trapped in front of the tank. But he's like using his car to slow it down so they don't just mash more people on this. Apparently, this highway that's like 150 feet in the air or something. Because like a bit's got vertigo again during this sequence.
Oh, for real. Especially when they attach the tank to something and then they knock it off. And then it's used as like, or was it the car that's used as
yeah, because like Tyrese, he uses the grappling thingy to hook the wreckage of his car to the tanks.
That's right.
So, but he hops in the car with Brian as they drive off, and then they're able to maneuver. Once the tank drives over Tyrese's old car, they knock that car off the bridge, so it's just dangling. But the tanks, of course, it's too heavy to be pulled off with it, but it is slowing it down.
Yeah, and this all, like, you know, the tank's blowing shit up, it's crushing shit. They're trying to do everything they can. It all culminates to this point where Dom ends up saving Letty by jumping across this like 20-foot median that falls to nothing at the bottom.
It's basically two highways kind of course, right next to each other. But at this point, Letty, like, she realizes that for real, Owens is bad. Yeah. After seeing them mash like 150 people on the fucking freeway, and so they pull this trick where I think she's getting like her car is being squished too. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that Dom's like jump. So she's like. Everybody's going 150 miles per hour. She jumps out of her car. He jumps out of his car. But then when they collide midair, the force of, I guess, Letty, like, falling into him, like, they both collide and crash into a car, happens to be there on the side of it and soft enough just to take both of them out.
Yeah, and then, you know, she's like, how did you know that car was going to be there? I didn't.
So they literally say, oh, it was just blind luck that we survived it all. I forget, how do they stop Shaw? Do they?
Well, because the Roman's car, or what used to be Roman's car, is hanging off the bridge, but it gets caught on something and ends up, you know, stopping the tank.
Because I remember, because I think, okay, this is the movie, and then it ends kind of quietly, so I feel like this is a little anticlimactic. So they got Shaw all locked up with the baddies. Then you start thinking, like, hold on, weren't there more of these people? You know, weren't there a few more of these? When they go back to the fortress and they realize, oh, they sold this tank because there's a super chip in it. And Shaw's like, ha, I got you where I want you. It was all part of my plans. You realize the other people, they were wherever else. So they snuck up on Mia and Elena and the baby. And so, like, Mia sacrifices herself. She gets caught, and Elena gets away with the baby. And so we're like, hey, we'll let Mia go, or we'll keep Mia safe if you give us this super mega chip. And they're like, fine. And he gives him the chip.
Well, first, one of the army guys is like, fuck off, no. And then Rock pulls out his hand cannon, and he's like, you going to let him go. and me, I'm just like, don't let the dude get the thing.
Because it is funny, like, the guy was like, oh, we can't get the chip to Shaw because, you know, this will put millions of people in danger. And then the second he has a gun pointed, he's like, give him the chip.
Yeah, so
priority
they end up giving him the chip. They walk out. They walk away, and then they form the final plan to stop Shaw.
Well, there is one other thing. Like, as they're leaving, Shaw's like,
oh yeah.
Are you coming, babe? And the camera cuts to Letty, like you think, oh, she's about to turn, but then it cuts to Gina Carano. She's like, coming, babe. So Gina Carano was not only is she a transphobe, she was working with the baddies the whole time.
She was a fucking plant. This is what Holocaust denial does to you, kids. It turns you into a bitch.
So they're going to take the mega chip and fly away in their big-ass plane.
This big-ass cargo plane that apparently that is on this 30-mile runway.
Because, like, the final sequence is them chasing after this cargo plane as it's going to take off. But then, like, the sequence lasts about 15, 20 minutes. And so, like, you're thinking, like, wait, they've been driving for a long time. How long is this runway? I think...
Someone did the math, and it would be somewhere between, like, 28 to 30 miles. which the longest runway in the world, I think, is like 7.
So it's 3 times as long as any real
Four times.
4 times as long as any real one-way. So, that said, it's a pretty sick sequence.
Oh yeah, this is some of the top tier action that's in the series, and because I remember like up until like the sequence with the tank, I was with the movie, but I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of more on the level of like Fast 4 or some of the other ones where it was just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is fun, but get to the good shit, and when it does get to the good shit, it's really good shit.
And because like the gag of the final sequence is then like. They're driving all their little special cars and they're using their NOS guns to shoot a harpoon into the plane and basically just sort of try to pull the plane back out of the sky with their 5 or 6 cars, essentially.
Because that's how that works.
So like they're all having like their individual little like scraps with with their evil counterparts on the side. And you see the big boys, the big characters. They all run up on this. Like you have like Owen and Gina and. The big motherfucker that works for Shaw.
That fucking Brock Lesnar looking motherfucker.
To at least try to explain how big this motherfucker is. He makes The Rock look small.
And that's saying something, because The Rock is big and not as sweaty as he was in 5, but he's still sweaty.
Granted, yeah, because they weren't in Cuba or Rio de Janeiro, so he wasn't like just flop sweat from the tropical heat. So he had like a just elevated perspiration, because it's them and then like Dom, Brian, and Letty, and then Mia because she's trapped on there. So everybody's having their little scraps, and then they have their big scrap. Like Letty's like she starts fighting Gina Carino in the fucking plane, just like whip shitting, and then the other big dudes they're fighting. And then they have like this like tag team moment with the dudes where Dom and Brian literally pull out like the fucking doomsday device finishing move. Because the Rock and Dom fight the big dude and Shaw. So like Dom grabs him by the legs and then fucking Rock clotheslines and knocks his ass off. I think Brian's more so there. He gets some licks in and he helps get Mia out. And eventually they get off in a car. They drive away, which leads to a little scrap with the lady in the doom buggy, and they fucking kill her.
Yeah, she eats shit.
And then, speaking of eating shit,
my favorite part of this movie. Holy fuck!
Of course, Letty and Gina Carino have round 2, and they get beat up and they fight. And then The Rock tosses Letty the fucking NOS powered harpoon gun, and she's just like, wrong team, bitch. Pow! Shoots the fucking Gina Carino with a fucking harpoon gun.
And not only does shoots her with the harpoon gun, she flies out of the plane and just eats shit.
She's just like, fuck you, bitch.
This is what you get for being a fucking bigoted cunt.
So like,
even though this movie came out years before that,
like a long ass time ago. So like, there's a very recent catharsis that comes with just seeing Gina Carino eat shit. And so they wrap up their big fight. Dom does a flying headbutt, knocks out the big fucker, and then Dom like yeets Owen Shaw out of the fucking plane.
Yeets him, similar to Gina Carano, but not as bad. But yeah, he shit supposedly dies. Maybe, I don't know. So then it's the Giselle and Han stuff.
Yeah, because like everybody's doing their little scrap with dudes on their little cars fighting, like Ludacris and Tyrese, they fight their doppelgangers and they run them off road and they get exploded. And then it's Giselle, Han, and their couple of like baddies, which leads to another death in the film. You see, because they're like fighting on top of the car, and then Giselle is sliding off the top of her car, and Han's trying to hold on to her while the sniper guy is about to like kill Han. So she makes a sacrifice move. She lets go of Han, and as she's falling, she shoots the sniper guy, and he falls over, and so she hits the sidewalk, and
he dies.
But of course, we don't see the body, and then we learn this in the next film that Owen survived his like 100-mile-per-hour scrap on the runway. So there's still appointing people out there. It's like Giselle can come back.
Oh yeah.
But
if Han can come back after what happens to him at the end of Tokyo Drift, I think Giselle can come back.
Yeah, spoiler for Han.
When Wonder Woman stops making fuck tons of money.
Yeah, so Han is like, no. So he picks up the dude, throws him into the fucking turbine of the plane.
Which you knew that was going to happen to somebody.
It just is like, who's going to get, like, splintered in this? So it's the sniper guy. He blows up a turbine, and the plane's all wobbly, and, like, shit's blowing up. So they cut their cord, I think. So the only people, like, left to the plane is the car that Mia and Brian are in. And so Mia's driving her car because Brian was, like, trying to shoot at the evil bitch. So basically, Mia pulls down this entire fucking plane with her fucking Mini Cooper, and this bitch blows the fuck up.
Just gaboom.
And then as this giant flaming wreckage of a plane is like being dragged across the ground, guess what happens? Fucking Dom drives through the front of the fucking plane as it's on fire. Just busts out the nose of it.
Yeah, he comes out. He's got the chip because the whole deal is if we could stop Shaw, get that chip back, we get you your immunity. So
all your past crimes are forgiven.
Yeah, so everyone's like, "Woo, we took it down," and then Mia's like, "Oh, where's Giselle?" And then fucking Han's got the 1,000-yard stare. He's still processing everything, and he breaks down. And not gonna lie, I got a little emotional.
It was definitely sad.
But then The Rock, he gets Vin Diesel gives him the chip. And he's like, "All right, what do y'all want?" And then what is it that Dom says? "I want 1347." And everyone, including audience, is like, "What the fuck is that?" And then smash cut to the house from Fast and Furious, the Fast and the Furious.
Because 1347 was their like zip code or street address.
Yeah.
And so they have this nice big little like barbecue at the back of the house, and everybody comes by, even Hobbs and Elena. There's a really good bit in there where call back to early bit in the film where like, oh, Tyrese is making fun of The Rock, like, oh, I bet he just lathers up in baby oil. When The Rock shows up at the cookout, Tyrese is like, oh, hide the baby oil, and then like The Rock's like, oh, can you hide your big ass forehead? The thing is, that was an unscripted retort. So, like, The Rock was supposed to say something else, but he ad-libbed that line. So, the shot of Ludacris spitting out his drink and Tyrese just being stunned silent, that's a legitimate reaction.
That's good shit.
And so, like, The Rock turns over their immunity. They have, like, their big, thanks for everything, you're a pal. And then Elena has like her little moment with Dom is like, I know Letty's back, so we can't be together, but I still love you, so you take care of yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, which, man, she was a fucking sport. She was a fucking champ.
I mean, yeah, she took that pretty well. I was like, oh, I got my old girlfriend back, so we kind of got to break this shit up. And she took it gracefully.
Which, I mean, granted, that she says something early in the movie is like, if my husband was alive, I'd do the same thing, so.
They ended amicably. They're still friends, which is good. So Letty's back with the family.
It still doesn't have her memories yet.
Which I thought that was remarkably restrained for them to be like, oh, she's back on the side of good, but like she doesn't like magically get all of her shit back.
Exactly. And then they ask Han, what you going to do? Guess I'm going to Tokyo.
Which dun-dum.
Dun-dun. And now we're finally caught up to Tokyo Drift.
Because this whole time is taking place in the past.
Technically.
Even though this is like 2013 tech, but it's technically happened in like 2006.
Yeah, because they're fucking live streaming on their fucking Nokia flip phones in fucking Tokyo Drift. But, we're not going to get into that bullshit. Anywho, so yeah, that's Fast 6.
Well, we will say that the mid-credit scene.
Oh yeah,
is like it's the bit in Tokyo Drift where Han is trying to run away from the Yakuza, and he gets T-boned by a sedan. But what the retcon is that was actually planned. See, because that was Owen Shaw's big brother, Deckard Shaw, aka Jason Statham, and he just like he calls Dom like. As we'll see later, it's like, you don't know me, but you will, and fucking blows up Khan's car. Like,
and it's like, oh shit!
Because he throws in like Letty's like little necklace cross on top of Han's hand, and the second just blows him up, and that cuts the movie.
Yep. So that was Fast 6.
So before we get to 7, last little thoughts on Fast 6. What'd we think?
I liked it for the most. It's definitely not my favorite of the series, but it is, mostly because like a lot of the second act is really just kind of plotty. But like other than that, like it's a fun little action movie. Nice little continuation from what came before. The tank and plane bits were fucking cool. I mean,
yeah, I will say, all the action bits, they're a lot of fun. That's the stuff I remember the most. And like we said before, Fast 5, when it's having like its plot moments, it feels somehow more like solid than the plot stuff in this one.
Yeah.
We'll get into in 7, but I kind of feel like even though I can't really remember some of the plotty bits in 6, I feel like I was more engaged with it. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a solid flick. It's probably, I definitely like it more than like 3 and 4 and 2.
Yeah, and honestly, all the other ones before this besides 5.
Yeah,
and also it gives us the most compelling villain so far.
Yeah, and I guess just some last little bits. Apparently, I found out that an early contender for the role of Shaw was David Tennant, apparently, from Doctor Who.
That would be very different than what we got.
Yeah.
To say the least.
I'll hold on to that thought of like strange casting, because there were definitely some interesting choices for some of the roles. The roles could turn out a lot different, let's just say, in Fast 7, considering some of their casting, but we'll get to that here in a second. So we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back with Fast 7. Hello everyone, welcome to the second half of our double-deckered episode for you. So we're talking about Furious 7 now, which is, of course, the 7th installment. Picks up right after 6 with the introduction of the new bad guy in town, Deckard Shaw, which is Owen Shaw's big brother, played by Jason Statham, who's just this implacable, like, natural disaster of a man.
I mean, he's basically every Jason Statham character. So you know what you're getting. But, like, I will say the opening scene to this movie is probably the best in the series. And it was really fucking cool. Because we just see Jason Statham talking to Luke Evans, who's apparently in a coma in the hospital.
Somehow survived being thrown from a fucking plane and tumbling on a tarmac.
And he's like, "Don't worry, little brother. I'm going to get him." And then pulls out a fucking just like submachine gun, puts it on his chest. And then he turns to walk out, and you see the doctor and nurse cowering in the corner. And then it's just a single take through the hospital, and you just see the wreckage he left behind. And I'm like, this is cool, but also, is this 100% necessary?
Because, like, it's obviously meant to show how deadly and dangerous it is. But, like, in true Fast fashion, it's so over the top. Because, literally, this one man has demolished an entire hospital and probably, like, an entire platoon of police SWAT soldiers.
Yeah, like, there's just, like, dead bodies, lights shot out, doors broken open.
Just like utter carnage.
Like he walks out of the building and he gets on the phone, and then like part of the infrastructure just starts crashing down as he gets in a car to drive away. It's like, what the fuck?
Because he's the baddest dude up to this point. And yeah. I think it would be a good time to mention some numbers up to this point. Quickly, it was released April 3rd, 2015. New director is in the shot seat, and that's James Wan, who you might know from the original Saw, The Conjuring, and Insidious.
Yeah, and some other shitty horror movies. But you can definitely tell this is in different hands, because the directing is more, or the cinematography is definitely more flashy and stylish than.
I will say, for someone that I think this might be his first like real action movie, at least of this scope, I think he did really well. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, when he's done making, you know, these dime-a-dollar horror movies, he can try his hand at action again, because like he goes to some. I'll just say James Wan was wild for this one.
Yeah, I mean, just some of the shot choices were really fucking cool. I mean, which is something, I never thought I would say about a Fast movie.
Because, like, I will say there were some, like, pretty solid shots in 6. I forgot to mention, like, there's a scene where they're chasing the bad guys in the Liverpool tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really good shot of them heading toward it, and like just like the really like vertigo-inducing shots we said earlier.
Yeah.
Very, very strong. But there's like some really interesting cinematography in this one.
And we'll get to it as we go along.
But I will say, just sort of like some extra information. Of course, this is Paul Walker's last film because he was killed in a car accident over the 2013 Thanksgiving holiday, which put like a big sort of production gap in the movie for them sort of to rewrite the existing footage and plot to accommodate Paul Walker's death. We'll get into that as well, and just with some numbers. Fast 7 went on to earn $1 billion worldwide in its first 17 days in box office. In 2015, Furious 7 was the 4th highest grossing movie of all time. Then the ranking was 4, Furious 7, 3, The Avengers, 2, Titanic, and number 1, Avatar. And even today, Furious 7 is still the 9th highest grossing movie of all time. And the setup is 9, Furious 7, 8, The Avengers, 7, The Lion King remake, 6, Jurassic World, 5, Infinity War, 4, The Force Awakens, 3, Titanic, 2, Avatar, and 1, Avengers Endgame.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, that's the current scene. But still, for a franchise that's not owned by Disney, to make that list, that's kind of crazy big.
Yeah, because how many of those off the list you just named those studios are owned by Disney? Too many for comfort, really.
Yeah, a lot of movies that we enjoy, but also just sort of the really uncomfy feeling that Disney is taking over everything, and that becomes more and more apparent with each day.
Yeah,
as we sort of just grit our teeth and enjoy the things they make. But anyway, we're getting into the plot. Furious 7, aka this one's for Han, because basically the whole movie is them getting revenge for Han because Deckard Shaw makes his presence known. It's like, oh yeah, you fucked up my brother, so I'm gonna fuck up you.
Which, can I just say, it's a little extra. It's a little fucking extra. Your brother didn't die, my dude. Like, you could just break some limbs. You could put someone in a coma. You don't have to blow up a guy. You also don't have to terrorize this fucking hospital.
Like, yeah, I think it definitely feels like a bit of a disproportionate retribution.
Oh, definitely.
So, Shaw's fucking up everybody on his way, but... But it doesn't start off all doom and gloom. As we see Dom and Letty are just cruising out in the desert. It's like, hey, I know you're still trying to put your life back together, but how about we go somewhere for old time's sakes, for some memories? And where do they go?
Race Wars!
Race Wars is back.
Because holy shit. Like, everyone was just fucking stupid in the 2000s, all right? People just didn't think that through. We almost got a reality where we got Race Wars 3 Tokyo Drift.
Because Race War was a working title for the series.
But for them, in the year of our Lord 2015, to bring that shit back...
I mean...
I respect it.
If Fast Furious is known for anything, it's their audacity. And...
the caucasity.
Well, it's a pretty...
Well, no.
They're a pretty racially diverse little team, aren't they?
Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
But still, it's like, what the fuck? Because...
Race Wars, Tokyo
you're just sort of floored. Because I will say, there are so many moments in this movie, this being the first, where I was just gagged. Because, like, there are so many moments where I thought, like, bitch, they're not going to do that. And bitch, they did.
Yep.
This is just the first. And plus, like, this one has a lot of callbacks to the earlier movies.
It's in particular, like, the first one, which was, like, I think there was a mention of them stealing DVD players. Which like...
A rare moment of self-awareness.
Yeah, which at this point, I want to go, like, after we finish these, just to go back, just for old time's sake, just for shits and giggles, just to go back to that first movie. Holy shit, that's going to be fucking boring by comparison. Because I know we say it every movie since like 5, but this has gone from like anime to like no, really, this is an anime. Like, these characters have fucking superpowers now.
And so to get there, Letty, you know, she has like a little race, and then she wins, and then everybody's like, "Woo, yeah, you won, Letty." But then she has like a PTSD episode, and she freaks out and she punches character throwback Hector from their very first movie. Like, this like bit character comes back, and he gets socked in the nose, and she runs off.
Which he's surprisingly chill with it, you know,
He's
comparatively.
Like, forgetting his nose buddy. And also, we'll say, the Fast and Furious movies are known for being horny, but James Wan, he cranked up the horny dial.
Holy shit, that the amount of just fucking ass shots. Like, I mean, there was no, like, he just got into it. He went raw. Just started fucking just, we get to race wars, just ass.
It's like he really cranked up the horny dial, because there's just a lot of titties and asses right away. So Dom was like, "Oh shit, Letty's having a moment. Let me go talk to her." And then so they drive off. Also, another thing, this movie has to be like what, the first one filmed in 4K, because it's like super like high fidelity, like with sort of like its fluidity of like the frame rate and like the clarity. It's almost like when you watch a movie or TV show that's in like that ultra 4K, ultra HD, it feels weird.
Yeah.
If you're definitely not used to it, it feels like this feels too real.
Yeah, it's a little uncanny in certain ways.
And also, I will say, we talked about earlier, just like the different, like the right away noticing the difference in how the movie's shot and how it's put together. Like, to me, like the camera speed feel like it's much quicker. Like when it's like doing a tracking shot, it feels like it's moving in a noticeably higher speed.
Yeah, because a lot of the older movies, particularly the Justin Lin movies, the camera is very steady and sort of locked in. This is definitely more frenetic in the cinematography.
And it's not necessarily like they're just like zipping around. It's just like,
and it's not even like shaky cam. I think some of the action sequences did get a little shaky.
But like it's just, I don't know. It just feels like the movie's almost in a way shot at like 0.5 speed.
Yeah.
It just feels to be moving a little quicker than normal. We have, like, you know, Brian dropping his kid off at daycare. He's like, I'm this big action hero guy, but I'm like, also, I got a family now.
Family.
So, so that he's sort of like learning how to be, like, you know, I'm a dad, but still like all this fucking, like,
I'm having to learn how to drive a minivan.
Just know this, like, just the juxtaposition of this world-class action hero to, like, oh, I have a 5-year-old son now. And then The Rock is still the sweatiest motherfucker in the FBI, so he's like click-clacking away on his keyboard.
Which, granted, this time there's an excuse. He did just get done working out, so there's that.
Elena's back with a pixie cut.
Yeah, and I'm like, damn, girl, you get it. You looking good.
Elena looking good. And then Shaw shows up at the FBI headquarters and just starts wrecking shit.
Yeah, like fucking, and notable moment of cinematography when fucking The Rock does, what was it, the rock bottom on his ass, and the camera does like a 360 turn.
I think that happens when he throws Shaw, he hits a chair or like a couch, and as he's falling and turning, the camera turns with him.
Yeah.
Which is a trick that happens like 3 or 4 times else in the movie.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that's cool.
And so, yeah, the Rock does the rock bottom on Shaw through a table, and then Elena shows back up for like backup. And I thought when Elena got in her car, she was going to get blown up with a car bomb by Shaw.
No, she just came in, pop, with her little gun. However, fucking Shaw's like, you can't stop me, I'm Jason Statham, and then throws a fucking bomb, which just blows the fucking shit up.
Blows up like the top half of the building. It blows them out the window.
And you know, The Rock grabs Elena, and they fall, I shit you not, at least 10 stories, if not further. Like, they would have, I don't care how big the fucking Rock is, that motherfucker would have been hamburger meat. He would have been dead. But they fall into a car. And you know, and he does get hurt. He gets hospitalized, but you know, they just show him he's just like in a cast.
Like he's got like a cast on like his leg and his arm,
and he's just like, "Here you go, Dom."
Here's the file on this Shaw, and also here's my daughter. Hobbs the dad.
Yeah, and then it leads to a very funny moment where the little girl's like, "Yeah, I heard my dad could kick your ass."
And he's like, "Your dad's on too many painkillers.
Dad's on too many painkillers." And I swear to God, I feel like every movie, Vin Diesel's voice gets more and more gravelly to the point where we're going to get to Fast 10 Part 2 and he's just going to be a cement mixer. Just
like it's just like rocks being his voice is like a rock tumbler, like
you need fucking subtitles, like he's like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises,
or like
F is for family. He just starts fucking death metal ground.
Yeah, they're dealing with that. Hobbs is in the hospital. There's this bad guy going around doing shit. Mia also realizes she's pregnant again, and also can never find an appropriate time to tell anybody that she's pregnant.
Yeah, except Dom. Brian needs to know. And she's just like, I don't know how to tell him. He tells me he misses the bullets.
I do think it's kind of funny how they're just like treating. I know part of it's kind of like they're trying to talk around Brian because he's in part of the movie he's not there because Paul Walker's dead, but also kind of like the way they talk about him, like he's just like a child. Like,
yeah,
we need to get Brian out of here. He's too like the life is too rough for him. Like they're playing with kids' glove with Brian a little bit, which I thought was kind of odd.
Yeah, which I mean, unfortunate circumstances with what happened with Paul Walker. I mean, he ever since 5, he's been more and more in the back seat, and you can definitely tell because of what happened with this one,
and definitely like Brian's character getting minimalized a little bit to make room for like the expanding cast to give them some more time. Because before it was just Brian and Dom doing all the daring do, but now you have a team, you have a family that needs their time in the spotlight.
This is a family picture.
It's a family picture. Dom gets a phone call. It's Shaw. He just blew up Han. He's about to blow them up too. So he has a package from Tokyo. Blows the fuck up out of the house.
Doesn't even give them a movie to let them enjoy it. No, that bitch gone. Just boom. Like, I feel like some urban developer was just going to bulldoze it down anyway. So they're like, fuck it, let's just beat him to it and blow it up.
It's like, well, we were going to gentrify the fuck out of the neighborhood, but this crazy Australian just blew it the fuck up anyway. Is Jason Statham Australian or is he British?
I don't know.
His gravelly voice makes you think he's Australian, but
I think he might. Hold on, we're about to do some fact checking live on air because I know Luke Evans is British,
or at the very least he's playing a British man. Whether or not he's actually.
Oh yeah, let's see. Yeah, he's British. You don't know who I am, but you're about to. Boom.
So yeah, they realize that Han's gone. So they rally the crew, that what's left of them, in like their secret hidey hole somewhere. It's like I'm leaving. It's like, where you go? I'm bringing Han home. So it cuts to Tokyo with like the archival footage from Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, because we got Lucas. What was his name? Lucas Black.
Yeah,
Lucas Black, and this is footage from Tokyo Drift and Lil Bow Wow, like circa 2006, 2005, 2006. Smash cut. There's a scene with Lucas Black talking with Vin Diesel, and significantly older.
Because like they have this scene at the end of Tokyo Drift where like Shane is like he's a cool guy in town. He's 80 days. So like, hey, Dom wants to race you. That scene. So it cuts to Lucas Black in 2015 year, so it's a hard cut.
and like we said in Tokyo Drift, for someone who was born in Alabama, that accent is fake as shit.
I mean, it's so apparent that it's not real. I don't get it.
However, I want them to bring him back for 9 or 10. They better make this happen.
I mean, at this point, bring back everybody that's still around. I'm still wanting to bring Suki back. Bring her back from 2.
Hell yeah,
because she's a bad bitch, and plus, she did some fighting and kung fu shit in Sin City. It's the same actress.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's a cool character. Maybe she comes back. We'll see. So Shane kind of fills Dom in on what Han's been up to. Gives him the photo of Giselle. That's the only thing they can pull out of the wreckage. So Dom apparently gets Han's body, goes back to L.A., and they have a funeral scene for Han, which leads to like a really like tough moment because like this is a real funeral scene, and you see Roman say, "I don't want any more funerals for this family," and then
it like the knowledge of knowing what happened to Paul Walker in this movie will make you look at this movie different because. When Tyrese says shit like, I don't want no more funerals, like, ugh, that hits a little different.
And then the very next person to speak is Paul Walker.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's just like, this kind of like, oh, fuck, this is real life kind of happening right here in a little bit. But then Dom sees somebody across the way. It's Shaw in his car. So he throws off his funeral wear, hops in his car. They're zip-zopping around L.A., they get to like this really shady underpass in the bad part of town, but somehow there's still a giant flat screen TV underneath the bridge.
Whatever. So Jason Statham, Vin Diesel play chicken, and neither one of them move out of the way.
They just fucking head-on collision with each other, and of course they walk out fine. And then like all these fucking military SUV rolls up, and they start popping out guns, and Shaw gets away, and he's like, "What the fuck, man? I had him. Who the fuck are you?"
And then who comes out of the truck? Then Kurt fucking Russell.
Which is such a swerve. Like, I didn't know he was in this film, so
I didn't either.
And I'm just like, Kurt Russell? What is he doing here?
And Kurt Russell's always a treat in every movie he's in, even if the movie's dog shit.
I mean, he's just a fun old actor.
His name in this movie is Mr. Nobody, which I swear to God, he's going to be a villain at some point in the series. Like, he's just too fucking shady to be legit. Because I work for the U.S. government, and we know all about this Shaw character, and we know you need to help catch them. So how about we proctor a deal? You and your team, you get back this super duper sketchy tech MacGuffin, God's Eye, which allows the user to like God's Eye is the MacGuffin. But we need it, which allows people to like use any available internet and camera to find basically the trick from The Dark Knight. Yeah, but like on steroids. And like in The Dark Knight, they acknowledge, like Morgan Freeman's character is like, this is fucked. But this movie, they don't give it, like, I was expecting them to like be like, acknowledge.
The surveillance state is evil. We shouldn't do this. But Dom's just like, okie dokie.
Okie doke.
Because like,
all I care about is family. I don't care about the surveillance state or the Patriot Act. Patriot Act. What's that? So, like...
But they realize
Because when they introduced that concept, I was just immediately like, oh, fuck, that is terrifying. Because, and they make a big deal like, oh, if it gets into the wrong hands, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bitch, that should not be in anyone's hands.
The least of which the American government...
Don't get me started.
But they acknowledge, like, okay, this is a super powerful tech that we don't really know how it works because it has like this firewall. The only way the person who can use it is this hacker named Ramsey, who's been, due to their super hacker skills, they sort of rubbed themselves off the digital map. But we know where they're being held because they are captured by this African terrorist Mose Hakande.
Yeah, he's a guy who's like popped up in, I think, one of the Guardians movies.
Yeah, let me look up his name real quick. I feel like I'm going to mispronounce his name, but it's Jimin Hansu.
Okay. No disrespect. It's just, we're dumb Americans.
I'm a dumb white man, and I'm trying to say a cool black man's name. But you know him if you see him. He's been in a lot of movies. He, like you said, he's a guy that says "whoo" when Star-Lord's like, "Hey, do you know who I am?" He's been in a bunch of stuff. You know if you saw him. Mm-hmm. So they're like, we got to track down Hakande because they kidnapped the hacker Ramsey. And it's like, okay, we'll get your team together and we'll get it out. And then like they all hop on hop on this plane because they're gonna like. Roman's like, I'm tired of being dragged around across the world for this bullshit. I'm calling the shots in this mission.
And they're like, well, where should we intercept? He's like, right here. And the army guy was like, what? Really? That's impossible. But then Kurt Russell's like, yes, it's impossible. But I like the way you think. Y'all think outside the box. That might just work.
That's just crazy enough to work. And also, I will say, at this point, it's really evident that Roman's role as the comic relief is at its all-time high.
Yeah.
Which, like, I kind of feel bad because Roman's a cool character and he had, like, some real substance and kind of nuance in 2, but then he's just sort of gradually become, like, the
joke character.
The jokey guy.
However, this joke was pretty fucking good.
I mean,
when they get to the plane.
So what are they going to do? So they're going to drop out of a plane. But how are they going to do it? By driving their cars out of the plane and then using GPS to, like, lock on and land.
Which, okay, whatever.
What's crazy is that,
like, I would be scared that the fucking car would just start tumbling end over end.
yeah, but they just sort of like just fall like a missile. But what's funny is that there is a surprising amount of stunts and action sequences in this film that aren't CG. Most of the CG in the film is just used for, like, certain background shots. They use a lot of real life stunts for this movie.
And I take it one of those is the fucking cars falling out of the plane.
Yeah, according to my research, real parachutes with GPS were used for the car drop scene from the plane, and the production actually consulted the U.S. Army about steerable GPS guided parachutes.
Oh, man. We could end world hunger, but instead, let's just fucking drop cars out of parachutes. Drop cars out of planes with parachutes. All right, let's do it.
So, but Tyrese is being a little scaredy. So he's stuck. He's still on the plane where everybody else has jumped off, which is Dom, Brian, Letty, and Ludacris. Apparently, Ludacris has, like, this switch, so he launches Tyrese out. He gets, like, caught in an updraft and, like, blown away somewhere else. And all the other people land specifically where they're going to. And everybody has, like, their own little special car. And so they ride up the mountain road to start their first action sequence. So the Hyundai has this, like, big-ass vehicle, like, bus and all these other little SUVs. And then they just throw into fucking whip shit mode because, like, that bus just shoots out, like, 6 machine guns off the side of it.
It's just like... But, of course, you know, the cars that they built for this mission, you know, of course they fucking, like, trick them out. They're basically indestructible. And especially Ludacris, who's driving almost a fucking tank, is almost like The Rock's vehicle in Fast 5.
Which is another moment of, like, this is, like, showing the Ludacris's character's, like, power creep because he goes to the front of the line in his, like, little armored truck and he starts... Of course, he's the shield, so he takes all the shots. And he's just like, form up behind me. And all the cars line up behind Ludacris. Like, I was like, bitch, they about to form the Megazord.
Oh, God. They better at some point, because if they... That's how they get to space!
Either they just drive up a space shuttle as it's launching, or they form the fucking Megazord like Power Rangers Turbo.
Power Rangers!
I mean... You saw the cars in the first Fast and Furious. They were pretty Power Ranger-like with all bright colors and
for real
special little car designs.
So, yeah, their whole scheme, they end up, like, ripping off the back part of the fucking, whatchamacallit, the bus that they're holding the fucking prisoner, who is that one chick from Game of Thrones. She plays a Missandei, I think. But that's who Ramsey is. So they end up saving her. But there's some action bits, like Brian fights. Yeah,
he fights Tony Jaa. Like, his character is this Thai martial artist. He's working for Hyundai. They have this crazy whip-ass fight in the bus. It's pretty cool. He's like, oh, no, you can't see the hacker. So Brian just, like, grabs a girl who's like, oh, my God, I'm so scared. I'm going to die. He's like, deal with it, bitch. Yeets her out the fucking bus and throws her on top of Dom's car. And he just, like, grabs her and gets her in his car. And then as they're all fighting, everybody's doing, like, their little wiggity shit. Jason Statham blows out the fucking forest. It's like, I'm back, bitch. Remember me?
Which, there are multiple points in this movie where I feel like, you know, they wrote this, like, plot in the action sequence. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got Jason Statham's character. Let's just throw him in. And he just fucking wrecks shit.
Because he's like the T-1000 who just appears out of nowhere and disappears. Because it's funny, like, I think going into this movie, I knew Jason Statham was, like, the bad guy. But he is, but I feel like he's technically, like, the secondary bad guy.
Yeah, it's mostly the the other guy. What was his name?
Hakande.
Yeah.
I mean, technically they're working together, but like they're more so dealing with Hakande's bullshit, and then Jason Statham shows up to fuck shit up for a bit and dip out.
Yeah. So
there's more bullshit like Dom takes Ramsey and go off-roading, fighting Jason Statham. And there's a fucking gnarly-ass bit where apparently they bring back a character from Fast 2 to be like one of Hakande's goons. Apparently his name is Corpy. You know him. He was the owner of the blue Corvette.
Let me see this dude.
The blue
do you have him
Camaro.
pulled up? Because for as much as I love Fast 2, I do not remember much from it. Especially like anyone who's not a major character.
So, if for those of you who don't remember,
that guy?
Corpy was one of the two boomer dudes that Brian and Tyrese swindled their card out of during a street race. And somehow, in the intervening years, this boomer dude became the soldier for a worldwide terrorist.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, what's his fucking story?
Let's get the fucking Star Wars story version of Fast. Just like the fucking Corpy story.
And like, so he shows back up
Miami to terrorist.
and he eats fucking shit.
Holy fuck, he gets got.
Because like as he and the other goons are like chasing Jason and Dom down the side of a fucking mountain,
Literally.
Corpy catches some air and he gets fucking Final Destination fucking skewered with a fucking tree.
It's brutal, dude.
Like, just this sharpened tree trunk just like skewers through the cab of his car. dead.
Just gone.
So they chase them around.
And Jason Statham's fucking with Vin Diesel, trying to get him. And then guess who shows up? Fucking Roman. Pew!
And I think he runs Jason Statham off because he disappears, and then there's some havoc and pandemonium. Of course, you cut back to the bus where Dom's still fighting old boy on the fucking bus. It's crazy cool fight. Cuts back to you see Hakande for the first time where he has Dom and Ramsey all cornered up with their guys, and it's like, and she's like, and of course she's pissing herself and crying. It's like, because any normal person would.
Yeah, it's like, what the literal shit?
And then it's like, I got a plan. So what's his plan? He just drives off the side of a mountain, just tumbles their asses down the fucking mountain.
Because fuck you.
And we cut back to the bus. The martial arts guy, they end up killing the guy driving the bus. So it's about to head off a cliff too. So the martial arts guy, he yeets out and runs away.
Locks Brian in. And
Brian's just like, oh no, what am I going to do? So the bus flips and turns and starts sliding off a cliff. And apparently that was a practical effect too. They're hanging a fucking bus off the side of a cliff with a real person dangling there to do that spot.
Bitch.
And that was a fucking Vertigo moment too. Holy shit.
Yeah, because it's just like a straight drop. But Brian gets out. He's running on top of the bus as it's slowly slipping off. He jumps. Fucking Letty comes in with her like green Camaro or some shit, and fucking just drifts. He fucking grabs a hold of the fucking fin.
Spoiler,
huh?
The spoiler in the back of her car.
Yeah, and then just saves him. It's like, what the fuck? And then it's like the only line, like one of the only few lines they actually have together. She's like, "You good?" Yeah.
Like he's all like busted up, and he's like, I made it. So,
hey, look, Mom, I made it.
So, yeah, the action sequence over. They reconvene with Dom at the bottom of the fucking cliff.
Yeah, and then they meet Ramsey like officially, and she clocks every one of them.
It's like, you're the comic relief. You're the cool guy. You're alpha bitch. You're Mr. Alpha, and Tyrese is still trying to save face. It's like, if he's alpha, I'm double alpha.
Which is one of the actually funniest bits in the movie.
Would it be more accurate to say he's a Sigma male?
Okay, we going on this rant right now. Okay.
Side piece.
Side tangent. All right, listen here, you fucking virgins. You fucking... You know, maybe if women would want to sleep with you if you weren't such a fucking shit ass. I'm a fucking goblin and I can get laid. And you know why? It's because I'm not a fucking asshole. And I don't come up with all these like bullshit pseudoscience fucking theories. Like, it's like, oh, I don't believe trans non-binary people exist, but I'm creating like 7 genders of male.
Yeah, because that's on our side piece of bullshit, right? It is so much fucking bullshit that these fucking virgin-ass idiots are like, yeah, multiple genders, non-binary, trans people aren't real, but they'll somehow fan fiction this fucking hierarchy of Greek alphabet males,
which they loosely base it off of a bunk study that was later disproven by the guy who did the study and said that this shit doesn't happen in wolves, and if it doesn't happen in wolves, it sure as hell doesn't happen in humans. So y'all are just a bunch of fucking morons. So just for the love of God, you fucking virgins, just stop, just jack off. You're not going to get laser vision if you don't fucking nut. Just fucking come, get your post-nut clarity, and stop being a fucking twat. Hot take of the century.
Incels, shitheads.
Yeah, and then, of course, you know, they come up with, like, alpha, beta, blah, blah, blah. And it's never the fucking chads. It's never the fucking chads that they, you know, constantly harp on. It's always these like dumpy looking motherfuckers who have like fucking shitty CGI tigers roaring in their intros, their shitty YouTube videos. Like,
and Sigma was like this mythical male that's outside of the hierarchy but still somehow equal to or greater than alpha male. And it's like, but Sigma's not even the first letter in the Greek alphabet.
Because you got alpha, you got beta. Apparently there's gamma male. I don't even know what and then omega male. Which to me, like, if you're going to do omega male, that should be like the fuck all, like, this should be like the Akuma of fucking male. You know, throw out a Street Fighter reference. But like, nah. But apparently that's like the stupid virgins that all these people are. Because they're all, fuck. So Fast 7.
So yeah, Ramsey's like, yeah, I know where the guy's eye is. I'm the only hacker in the world who can use it. But then BT Dubs, I mailed it to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, he's just like, I put it in a car that I gave to this dude who's in fucking Abu Dhabi. And then the movie just turns into a fucking music video for like 5 minutes.
Because they play Turn Down for What? In the fucking... when the Abu Dhabi was like, and like there was something you said that tickled me so much. Like you said something either like, they're playing Turn Down for What? Pog. Like you just dropped that so casually, and I was just quietly
just like poggers. Let's go.
It's a pretty sick little like montage of them at the beach,
and everyone's looking fly as shit. They're looking hot as fuck. It's fucking sick, even though they're probably getting some like fucking blood money to fucking film here or some shit.
What are the financial ethics of like this sequence of the movie?
Like when fucking WWE was in fucking Saudi Arabia. That's why it came off to me. And then of course at the end they have the bit at the end of the credits. It's just like visit Abu Dhabi.
It's like, okay, sure.
It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Also,
which, granted, like if it's as cool as it is in this movie, it's like, you know what? I would go. It looks nice.
I mean, it looks like, and plus Abu Dhabi architecture predicted the PS5.
That they did, because holy shit, those fucking towers look like PS5s.
The names of those giant ass buildings.
Oh yeah, it's one of those things you see them, you know what they are.
You know, basically, you know, the world, because I think now those towers in Abu Dhabi are officially the world's tallest buildings.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where the God's eye is, because her little friend in Abu Dhabi is like, oh, yeah, I
sold it to, like, some fucking Saudi prince or some bullshit.
So, like, oh, we got to break into this billionaire's, like, party where it's being held.
And music video part 2, and there are, like, women who are literally painted gold.
And like this, like I was waiting for Tyrese to say it's a oasis in here.
They need to bring that line back because that is the best line in this fucking series. You know, they fucking dancing. You know, it's like a fun time. And then of course this is where we bring in another problematic UFC person with Ronda Rousey.
It's like, oh, what transphobe will let you have to beat up this time?
Michelle Rodriguez says trans rights. But fucking
because this is when like the heist bullshit happens. Because like, okay, Tyrese, we need you to like cause a distraction so that because Dom and Brian go off to find a car that apparently has the God's Eye chip in it. Something. It's just an excuse to show this like extremely rare, fancy ass car.
It's like there's only like 7 ever made or some bullshit.
And then like Tej and Ramsey, who have a bit of a thing going on, they go to like the fucking like server room and like sort of orchestrate all this shit. So Tyrese is just like, let me just cause a scene and be like funny as fuck.
And he just. He just grabs this random woman and it's like, "Oh, what's your name, Jasmine?" Which I'm like, "Oh, wait,
that's a little problematic."
That's a little racist, man. But he's like, "Oh yeah, it's her birthday," and this poor woman's just like, "What?"
But everybody's just kind of like quietly going along with it.
Yeah.
At the very least, all the attention's on Tyrese just making an ass out of himself.
Which I mean, honestly, that's how people act because no one wants to be the asshole who breaks shit like that up. But, once, those troops start coming in and everything, this is when fucking Tej does his fucking John Wick bullshit.
Yeah, because, like, shit starts going down, and so, like, some bad guys start showing up here and there, or, like, not bad guys. They're just kind of, like, they're just doing their job, but they're incumbing the fucking plot. So there's a stiff that shows up in the server room, and Tej just whips out some kung fu shit real quick, knocks this fucker out.
Never does it in the rest of the movie, but it was like he straight up does the like throws the hand back behind him to hit the guy,
and then turns around and goes just like knocks this fucker loose, and he's just like, anyway, back to hacking.
So then we go back to Michelle Rodriguez, who fights Ronda Rousey, which
I do want to get a little shout out to like all the hijabi like women soldiers. They were cool as fuck.
That was fucking badass because they were just whooping some tail.
And then so she beats all of them. They have a moment there, but then Ronda Rousey.
And one thing I will say, as shitty as Gina Carano is, and she's the newest punching bag right now, which will probably date this episode, but who gives a fuck? But like, at least she took a couple acting classes. Like, I mean, she was decent in Fast 6. Like, she was good in Mandalorian. But holy shit, Ronda Rousey only has like 2 lines, and holy fuck are they awful.
Yeah, and she barely even reacts. Like, she's like, Ronda Rousey is not only just a shitty person, but it's just like, she cannot act. Like,
she is so uncharismatic, and she looks like she's holding in a turd the entire time she's on screen.
The dumb bitch has like her fucking hair snapped so far back that like her face is just taut.
Like her fucking eyes are being pulled back from like a Clockwork Orange.
and guess what? The bitch was the same way in the WWE when she fucking laid that fat ass turd. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, yes, they had this neat fight. I would say Letty's fight in 6 was better.
Oh, 100% better.
But like, just Ronda Rousey's just randomly in this movie because they need like a famous face for Letty to fight, and just like she does a serviceable job.
And unlike Gina Carano's character in 6, like literally Ronda Rousey's only in this sequence for like maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, and like out
of like a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, because the trailers make it think like she's one of like Shaw's like henchmen, but no, she's just like security person for the fucking Saudi.
Yeah,
prince.
They try to make her out like she's like fucking Ruby Rose's character in John Wick 2.
Yeah,
but like nah, she's just here for the Abu Dhabi dude.
The obligatory.
Prince. But then
woman.
we cut to fucking Brian and Dom, and this is the moment. Mark it here, folks. Where they get fucking superpowers. Because holy fucking shit. Because they're like, oh man, how are we going to get this thing? It's up under the car. Dom's like, don't worry, Brian. I got it. And fucking lifts the car up. Just like by himself.
I do want to say something about this moment. In my research, I found out that even though Vin Diesel had some initial help in lifting the car, he holds up that car by himself. That's legitimately him holding up that car for that scene. Jonathan, where are you going? Where are you going? Come back. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan has left the building.
All right, I'm back. Okay, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, John had some mechanical help with the production team in lifting the car initially, but during that scene,
He's like actually holding.
he's actually holding the car up. I mean, there is a cut to him where he looks physically strained.
Oh yeah, like he's definitely struggling with it. But cars are multiple tons.
But so like, I mean, plus like Vin Diesel gets bigger in every film. So like, yeah, he's holding up the front end of a car by his damn self.
Hurry, Brian!
So like the bad guys are like coming, or the guys are coming. So they hop in this car, and it's like, oh no, we got to get out of here. But there's no way out. We have to get this car. What do we do? What do they do, Jonathan?
So fucking Vin Diesel apparently this day woke up and chose violence. Because you know what this motherfucker did? He was like, he gets in the car and then just starts fucking driving. Because apparently politics is not Dom's strong suit. So he just thinks, fucking, Middle Eastern people, they're, Dom's racist is what I'm trying to say. So they fucking yeet out the window of one of these buildings into another building. They land, everything's cool. It's the big shot from all the trailers, but in the movie, it's like, holy shit, they're actually fucking doing this.
Because you don't think, I didn't see the trailers for this movie, but I just think like, bitch, they are not about to do this. No, they legit drive this fucking car out of a building, guide it through the air into another building. It happens to have like the terracotta warriors from like ancient China as an exhibit.
Well, they're no longer there because they fucking get yanked. Just explode. So
yeah, because fuck, world history, and then like they sort of slide and drift, and so the car goes through one more building.
Hold on, because they start like fucking pressing the brakes. It's like, and Dom's like, oh no more brakes. and so and Brian's like, oh no, what we gonna do? We gonna go faster. Shit. Yeah. All right. So anyway, they jump into another building. So, and then at this point, they realize no brakes, so they just have to jump out of the car. So they do that, and then fucking Jason Statham shows up, and he's just like, "I'm here, y'all. I'm gonna blow you up."
So he starts opening fire at the party. Everybody scatters, but meanwhile, Dom and Brian are still sliding. So Brian drops off the car. Dom waits at the last second to jump out. So he's literally at the bleeding edge of the building as the car yeets out, falls 5,000 feet from space, or however far up in the sky they are.
It's just boom, 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 boom.
And then it like crashes in front of the fucking like hotel opening. Visit Abu Dhabi.
For real, it's just like, watch as these dumb Americans destroy our fucking architecture. Visit our country so we can pay this shit off.
So they have the special God's eye chip, which is like, it's really scary when you stop thinking about it for more than 5 seconds.
But this is fast. No think, go fast.
No think, only fast. So she plugs in the chip and she like does some telemetry and finds where Shaw's hiding in Abu Dhabi. I kind of feel like, is this even really necessary? Because he comes to y'all like every time.
For real. And they make like, Kurt Russell makes like an offhanded comment. He's like, well, how's that getting y'all so far? And Dom's like, you got a point. But like at the same time, it's like,
I mean, also, we say every time, even though we know full and well that the plot is just capable enough to get it, to keep it moving, we still have to comment on it.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, we can't just let this go by and not say anything.
So they use the chip thing. They find Jason Statham. But then Jason Statham, apparently, he's like surrounded by fucking oil drums, and he has a fucking grenade. He's like, you kill me, you all blow up. And he's like, the enemy of my enemy is my enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so fucking what's the guy's name one more time?
Yeah, his partner in intergalactic crime, Conde, shows up.
Yeah.
It's like, surprise, bitch.
And then this leads to Kurt Russell's like holy shit badass moment where he puts on some night vision sunglasses and just goes full John Wick on these motherfuckers, just like pop, pop, pop,
Just
pop,
like no
pop,
scopes,
pop.
like all these different like bad guys. But then he gets capped too. So the goodies they scoop up Kurt Russell and they run out, and then Hakande and Shaw, they scamper away while the fucking building explodes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're just like, oh man, Mr. Nobody, you got shot. Yes, okay, I called my super medvac team. Do we here? You just leave me on the side of the road. Y'all get out of here.
And then he doesn't really show up much in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he's got to come back though, right?
I think I saw the cast list for 8. I think he's in 8.
Okay.
Is it at this point where they're like, okay, we're going to have to fight him on our own turf, and they go back to L.A.?
Yeah, so they realize. So yeah, they make it back to L.A. and they're all like, you know what? No, he's coming for us, so we got to be ready. So they just start like souping up in fucking L.A.
Yeah, and they got their own plan of how they're going to do this shit. So Hakande and Jason Statham, they come, to fuck shit up in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. So Hakande is in a fucking helicopter,
An Apache helicopter.
and the motherfucker has a fucking drone.
Like a fucking attack drone. And so like he's also tracking down Ramsey because he has the God's eye.
Yeah.
So like he's tracking her down. So what they do, they know they're gonna come for her. So they're like, we're gonna like have her with one of us and just pass her off so they can just never get a straight beat on her. And when they pass her off, it's something.
It's extra.
So shit goes down. It's time for everybody to get ready for even though this isn't an Aaron Eckhart film, it's the Battle of Los Angeles.
That it is.
Because Akande shoots his attack helicopter out and starts blowing shit up, sends his drone out, blowing more shit up. Who just apparently just has infinite missiles and infinite bullets, and it just fucking
for real. And one thing I will say about this this climax is it may be my favorite in the series.
It's
because it just goes off the fucking rails. Because we're going to start with bullshit moment number 1. That's just fun as shit. So it cuts to The Rock, who's been in the hospital.
Wait, hold on though. There's still a bit before that because there's a throwback to the first movie where Ramsey's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" It's like we gotta do this the old school way. So he pulls Letty's move where he slides underneath a truck.
Oh yeah,
His car, and they start breaking off. So because Brian and Ramsey, Brian's in his car. Ramsey's like his first shot guy. Then you have Tyrese and Ludacris in the other car. You have Letty in the other car. Dom somewhere else. They're all just scattered around.
We'll get to Dom.
We'll get to Dom. So all this shit happening. McConaughey's chasing with the God's eye. The Rock sees this in the news and he's like,
Toretto.
It's like, Toretto, I'm coming to help. And he's like, Daddy, what are you gonna do? You're hurt. And what does he do?
And with his whole ass fucking chest, he's like, don't worry, I'm going to save the day. And flexes his cast off of his arm. Like he's a straight up fucking superpowers. Just BAM!
It's like, Daddy's got a good order. Flexes out of his cast. Shrapnel plaster is going everywhere.
And so, it goes back to everybody else. They're passing off Ramsey as they're driving around.
And so when they get to the first pass, Hakande's about to catch up, and it's like, okay, we got to swap over now. So Dom is pull his car, about to meet up with Tyrese and Tej. And so what did they do to pass her off?
They fucking slide and they get real close, and then they just throw her from one car window to the other.
Literally just do this simultaneous drift move. They just yeet her out the fucking car. Brian drives off, and Tej and Tyrese, they drive off with her.
Yeah, and that leads to Brian's sort of subplot in this action bit, where he has the the rematch with the guy he fought earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
After he has a conversation with Mia where she's just like, Brian, I'm pregnant again. And he's like, all right.
I'm so glad you. Like, he doesn't tell her right now, but it's happened in this moment. It's like, you know, it's emotional or something. But also, Mia can't tell a good moment to talk about her pregnancy to save her life.
No, not a goddamn moment.
And like, yeah, Mia's like she's somewhere. She's away from all the action, which is like a sad bit for me because like Mia's just been made the wife. I mean, she's become more and more domestic as the series is going on.
Yeah.
I think in the next few, like, she comes back and she might get a bigger role again. Who knows?
I know she's at least in 9, but
yeah. So he's driving off. He's fighting the Thai fighter, the Thai martial artist. So like he fights off the SWAT team, and there's a pretty cool shot where like the bad guys shoot up like a garage door and all the light shoots through the bullet hole.
Oh yeah,
that's a good shot.
That looked really cool.
And so he and Kiet, the Thai martial artist, start fighting, and it leads to a cool shot with them.
It's like, is that where they like surf down the steps?
Yeah, they're sliding on a door and they just like bump, 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 like down the stairs.
Yeah, and he ends up tying something to him and kicks the thing off of like an elevator shaft, and the guy eats shit and dies.
And then it cuts back to Dom, who's found where Rashaw is, and they're on top of like a parking garage, and it's like, and they have like their chicken moment again. But
this time, fucking, and you know, of course, Dom's in the old Charger from the first movie, his dad's car. So he, you know, they're driving at each other, but he fucking pops a wheelie, fucking hits Shaw's car, and then
leads to another bitch. They did not just do that moment.
So fucking Jason Statham comes out, and he has like a pipe or some sort of bludgeoning weapon, and he's ready to fuck up. And Dom pulls out a fucking sawed-off shotgun and has him dead to rights. You know, and they made like this whole like montage sequence beforehand of him like sawing off the barrels of the shotgun. He's like, "What, you think this was going to be a street fight?" Yes. he puts the shotgun away in the Charger and pulls out sword-sized wrenches and starts dual wielding them like they're fucking like katanas.
So they have like fucking sword fights with pipes and wrenches, just like cling, cling, clang, just like on top of this fucking parking deck. And like that's Dom's plot for the next 20 minutes, and just sword fighting and fighting Jason Statham.
So then, you know, they're still dealing with the drone and everything. They pass Ramsey off to Letty's car, and then, you know, the drone got him locked. It's about to fucking get him, and then the fucking Rock just
moment number 3
shows up. Does he show up in his fucking like tank vehicle?
No, he steals an ambulance from the hospital, drives it off a fucking bridge, and crashes into the drone, exploding it.
He gets out of the fucking
carnage of a car.
What's left? Grabs the mini Vulcan cannon from the drone, picks it up, and just starts fucking using it against this fucking Apache helicopter. So he's just like, ah!
Like he's just like firing away, and the helicopter's like zip-zopping around, trying to get a beat on them, but everybody's just like circling and confusing them. And so at this moment, like Hakande's like, okay, there's too many loose ends. So he turns on Shaw, and he starts shooting up the parking deck where Shaw and Dom are fighting, which causes like a cave in, and Shaw goes falling into the rubble.
Mm-hmm.
And Dom's like, okay, I gotta get this taken care of. So what he fucking does is that he gets in the Charger, rears it back, and fucking flies the Charger into the air at the fucking Apache. But but he misses because it's a fucking helicopter, so it moves out of the way.
But he has a bag of nades, and he just
yeets into the fucking bitch, and then Conde's like, oh fuck, boom.
So does the grenades blow up on their own, or does the Rock see it and shoot it with the Vulcan cannon?
I don't remember.
One of the two.
Something happened. Like the fucking bitch blows up. That's all I know.
He dead. He dead. So you just see the fucking rubble of because that parking deck collapses, and you just see Dom crash his Dodge Charger for a record 5th time in this franchise.
Yeah. So then, everyone's like trying to find Dom. They pull him out of the rubble, and Letty's just like, Dom, I magically remembered all my memories and shit.
Remember when we got married and like the fucking timeline of Fast 4, and I have just like this fucking like gorgeous like opulent dress, you just had a fucking tank top?
Because that was a thing. And then, because Brian's like trying to, do the sensible thing, do CPR, but then Letty's just like, stop. and so Dom wakes up. He says some like nonsensical one-liner that's supposed to be poignant, but falls completely flat.
Yeah, like he's like you love me. Why didn't you tell me you love me? He's like, because you can't tell people you love them.
Yeah, it was something stupid. I was like, why?
I don't know what that. It didn't work. But anyhow, Dom lives, and everybody's like, cut to,
and so does Deckard Shaw. So
yeah, somehow he fell like a fucking parking garage, fell on top of his ass.
Whatever. So the Rock, brings him down to this like 30-story underground prison, and Jason Statham's like, you can't keep me down here. I don't know why he became fucking Arnold for a minute. I'm going to get out, and then the Rock's like, I want to see you try.
It's like, I'll be there waiting for you if you do.
And then it's like, to be continued in Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw.
And so that all the story and the plot's wrapped up. And so we had this cutaway to a beach where all the gang just hanging out wearing their white clothes, because that's what people do at a beach. They wear white clothes, take family pictures. So you see Brian and Mia and their son just sort of playing on the beach, and everybody sort of just like wistfully looking at this little moment. And during this moment, behind the scenes, this is where Paul Walker's brother is doing like the body double for Paul, because he's already in real life he has passed away at this moment.
Yeah.
So you have like this genuine moment of everyone, all the people in the crew saying their real life and in-world goodbyes to Brian.
Yeah. And like, it's a touching moment. And one thing we haven't really brought up was both of Paul Walker's brothers were doing some body double work for the movie, and there's some moments where you can tell, but it wasn't as like, because I've heard people be like, oh, it's so bad you can tell.
It's not. I mean,
I've seen worse CG effects.
Yeah, like they're both pretty comparable in build and look to their brother. I mean, obviously if they weren't, they wouldn't have used him for doubles, but like it's pretty solid. It's not like
I mean,
garish.
yeah, you can definitely see the seams, and maybe it's just because of like knowing the circumstances behind it, being a little more forgiving of it.
Yeah,
but yeah, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it looks bad, and it's like
there's plenty worse like digital reconstructions.
It's like the person who said that has never seen a Neil Breen movie.
Lord. So they have, for what it's worth, it's a pretty, moving moment for this sort of like goodbye to Paul Walker.
And Dom's character really doesn't have anything to say, and he's no feelings, only cars. So he gets in his car, he's like driving around to process his emotions, and then Brian comes up, and that's probably where it's the most obvious.
Yeah,
is when he's kind of like dead eyes stare at Dom. He's like, "Hey, you were gonna leave me, were you?" And then there's like a helicopter shot where they're like driving beside each other, and then Brian kind of tails off into a new direction, and then it cuts to credits for Paul.
It has like a montage of like Paul Walker's character from the beginning, and it has a song that was made for the movie "See You Again," which is by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth. And just on this song a little bit, because this was a tribute song written for Paul Walker. It is far and away one of the most successful pieces of music that's come from the movie. This whole franchise.
Well, and the thing is like it was a top 40 single for the longest time, and I didn't even know it was. I knew it was used in the movie. I didn't know it was for the movie.
And like on that bit, it's pretty impressive about just some of the accolades the song has. Like for instance, this is the 10th song in history to go from 100 to number 1 in the Billboard Top 100. A feat that took 5 weeks to do, and it was the first song to do this, had this trajectory since 1959.
Damn.
And just some other stuff like despite the fact that it had this huge runaway pop success, it wasn't nominated for best original song at the Oscars. Thanks, Academy.
Well, I mean, the Academy, they're not going to nominate anything associated with something like this. And do I think these movies are like the pinnacle of cinema? Obviously not. But like, the Academy has some double standards because a lot of the movies the Academy loves are fucking stupid.
Yeah, you're really going to tell me that the fucking Green Book has more like pathos and like substance than the fucking Fast movies?
At least the fucking Fast movies are for the most part fairly unproblematic. And like, take 94 for instance. It's like when you have like groundbreaking cinema like Pulp Fiction and The Shawshank Redemption lose to fucking Forrest Gump of all movies.
Which, it's a classic in certain respects, but also like it's kind of dodgy by today's standards, especially in the world where like Sia's the music is caught up in the discourse.
Well, and living in Alabama, like it's like Leonard Skinner's Sweet Home Alabama. Forrest Gump gets ruined for you because it's played all the fucking time.
So whatever merits exists are just kind of beaten to the ground.
Yeah, they're like I could probably quote that movie, front to back, and not because I like that movie per se.
And just some last little things about "See You Again." It's like even though this song was debuted in 2015, it's already like a staple song for Memorial, like "Amazing Grace" or "I'll Be Missing You." Like it already has that level of pop cultural like staying power. And in July 2017, "See You Again" became the most watched video on YouTube until a little while later it was replaced by "Despacito." Which it has some fucking some merits to it, and how much pop cultural clout this song's had, and it's a good song, and like also like the soundtrack it's pretty fun. Like it has a very wide variety of like artists, and like there's 31 artists on the fucking album, but there's only 15 songs. There's a lot of collabs, but like outside of a few weird ones, I thought it was a pretty fun album.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's a nice song, and it came with a nice moment.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is not the Teriyaki Boys.
It's hard to beat Tokyo Drift by the Teriyaki Boys. Insert
the music here as we just fucking dance. So yeah, that's basically Furious 7. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Like I said earlier, like the more plotty bits I was really kind of checked out of, but like once it got to the fucking audacious bullshit action, I was like, bitch, I'm here.
Yeah, like I think this is on the level of Fast 6. I think I enjoyed this one a little more because the bullshit is extra bullshittier, but like like definitely more of the plot, the just like exposition, like
the excuse for this to happen,
the getting here from point A to point B is it's not the most engaging thing in the world.
But I will say, like, I gave the movie a 4 because like what action you do get, it's like fuck
yeah. Like I mean, and I know like a lot of people like they'll rope these movies in with like Marvel. It's like, why do these movies make so much money? And it's like, I mean, they're fucking spectacle. Like,
yeah, that's what popcorn movies are for.
Yeah, it's like, not every movie can be fucking Citizen Kane, and nor should every movie be that.
Yeah, like there's allowed to be like a variety. Like you can have like the crazy explosion, you can have the more sincere drama pieces. They're both allowed to exist.
Exactly.
Anybody that doesn't like that, just chill out, man.
Yeah, and for the most part, people who don't like it, they're just like, oh, this isn't for me. But you know.
And just some last bit little trivia I found. Apparently Gal Gadot did reprise her role as Giselle in the movie. Like she filmed a scene where she finds Letty in the ditch after the explosion in 4. She takes her to the hospital, but for whatever reason, this scene was just deleted. So her only credit is just like literally a picture, the photo they find in Han's wreckage.
Yeah.
Let's see. Apparently Denzel Washington was offered a role in the film, but he turned it down. We don't know what the role was. He was just offered one, and he sort of politely declined. Universal wanted a big star to play a minor role in 7 to return for a bigger role in 8, which we believe is the Mr. Nobody role that's offered to Kurt Russell eventually. Although it's kind of funny who were the other people that were up for that role for a moment, which were such luminaries as Taylor Lautner and Halle Berry.
What?
Those were some contenders
For Mr. or / possibly Mrs. Nobody?
Yeah, with Sarah Lautner from the Twilight movies and Halle Berry.
That would be very different.
That would have been a different tenor for the movie, yeah.
I think going with Kurt Russell was the better choice.
And lastly, like I said earlier, only 10% of the action sequences were created using computer effects. So there's a lot of practical...
Jesus.
Just
like just thinking about the coordination to do all that. It's like, holy fuck. And that might be another reason why these movies probably connect more than, other bullshit action fare that comes, that gets shat out, every year. Because you can tell when things are, live action, like in-camera effects versus, things they do in post.
Yeah, because I know that's one of the reasons people enjoy, the recent Mission Impossible, because there's a lot of in-camera effect
and Tom Cruise, as fucking insane as that man is, he does 95% of his stunts.
Whether that's sensible or not, I don't know. This is also a guy who allegedly fucks fish, so if mine may not be all there.
He's about to jump out of from fucking space, so
yeah, for fat. And apparently, because they're still filming the next Mission Impossible, apparently he's keeping the whole cast and crew on 2 yachts up in the Nordic seas right now for filming.
Okay.
So because people have their qualms with the Marvels and the DC being too much in the way of special effects, too much CG and that sort of or there's a lot of stuff that could be practical, but they just chose to use CG for whatever reason.
Yeah, the fuck it, we'll fix it in post mentality.
So there's pros and cons to all that, but I feel like that's part of the charm of the Fast, because they're just we're crazy enough to do this shit for real.
Yeah, that, and of course, as much as it's memed, the whole family angle probably, and
because there's a comparable number of families in 7 because with the song there's 14 uses of the word family. Without it, there's 10. So it's comparable to 6. So there's a lot of families thrown around. So they're definitely
once again, good thing we decided not to drink to this one,
because definitely this is where the family becomes a meme at this point on. And it's just wow. Because I remember after we watched 6 and 7, it's bitch, I'm tired.
Yeah, especially 7. It's I felt like I'd ran a marathon, and I was just sat on my ass on the couch.
It's this movie wore me out.
Granted, we were screaming most of it, but
yeah. So we physically exerted ourselves just from what the fuck, just screaming. And Cannon, he watched it with us too. So he said this is his favorite of the Fast films,
which is a good choice.
It's respectable. It's a respectable choice. So we made it to the end of this double feature episode. 6 and 7 are now in our rear view. And coming up next, we have another special double feature episode, which will be Fate of the Furious and Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. That will be the next installment of the Fast and Furious files.
You'll expect that next month.
If all goes well.
If all goes well. Which, I will say, I'm proud of us. We've been sticking to our schedule.
It's because, we said like out in the way and some things happened, but, we're getting back on it. And hopefully, knock on wood, we can still expect Fast 9 in May. Because we have a nice swanky new home theater, and I wouldn't mind watching this on HBO Max or whenever it comes out.
Hell yeah.
So until next time, thank you all for listening. You can follow us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, and any RSS feed catcher out there. Be sure to like, rate, view, subscribe on all those platforms. It really helps us out, puts us in front of these people, keeps us high in the algorithms, and we just genuinely appreciate you when you do that. You can follow us on our socials on Twitter and Instagram at AYC Podcast, on Letterboxd and Facebook at AllYouCanHear, on Twitch at twitch.tv/AllYouCanHear, and YouTube, which is also at AllYouCanHear. And lastly, you can follow me, Patrick, on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at John Lost His Name, and my art on Facebook at John Lost His Name Art.
My name is Jonathan. You can follow me on Twitter at JONIIBOI24 and JohnOwnSon12 on Letterboxd.
Thank you all very much. We'll be talking to you soon, and stay hungry.
Stay hungry. Gotta go fast.